All right. Hello, check it out. I know you only can see me from the top because I like to show this stuff off too, but I still like to wear my geeky shirts. So, this is my review to Star Wars Droids. Got my bullet points here for the cartoon show. I know they said non-canon, but I did not know this at the time when I did this. I thought it was, but Disney keeps changing their stuff. So, let's get into it. This is Star Wars Droids: The Adventures of R2d2 and c3po. Now, c3po is not one of my favorite characters when I was a kid. He kind of annoyed me. Droids, they were okay for me, but he just kind of annoyed me because he used to always do nothing but complain. No hate. I respect the heck out of the voice actor. I respect the heck more out of the character now, but he used to annoy me. Just kind of felt useless, and half time he was like, and I'm like, why are you, but I guess it works. I didn't hate him. Now, this aired with the Ewoks on the Ewoks and Droids Adventure Hour. Now, one season on DVD is incomplete. However, I did find my own way to get to the entire series and get all the episodes and find them. But the DVD was missing 5 episodes, which I think is dumb. I wish all places would stop doing this. All cartoon episodes, all of them, need to be put on these DVDs and these home medias. Looking at you, Ninja Turtles 2000 series. What happens between episode 3 and 4, they eventually join Bail and the Rebels. And I'm talking about for Star Wars Rebels. So I put this in here because I do understand in the Star Wars Rebels show, they span like all through Rogue with Bail and the list. And after you view the first here, whatever. Ewoks is a tail end though for the original. So basically these kind of take place in there. So this actually takes place in the order that I'm dropping it for originally, but it did change with Rebels, but I still seen a way how it could fit, so I'm still going to say it fit. Ewoks kind of happens where like part of it happens in Return of the Jedi, or before Return of the Jedi, part of it happens, whatever. Back to the stuff at hand. I don't want this to run too long. Anthony Daniels voices C3PO. Now, from what I understand, this dude has done this all but once, and I think he even did the anti-smoking commercial. So this dude has nothing but my utmost respect. That alone deserves a spot on here. I think there is something he didn't do, and I can't remember what it is. But Anthony did one that the Phineas and Ferb thing is the only time I think he didn't voice C3PO. He even voiced him in the Lego Movie. The droid opening, hands down, is just 80s, 80s, 80s. It felt like a little heavy metal with a little synthesizer thing, just like they do. After looking at droids and Thal, they have or droids and Thals. There are races, and they meet. They look up to these guys for the first arc, which is Droid and Thrall. They're actually racers. You meet Kia, who's a rebel person. Genghis, excuse me. Sorry, I'm really tired. Gangs ran by the son of the boss. They put their stuff into a new tech business because he only likes droids. There was a lot of fun with that. He only builds and trusts droids. He's like, no one else, which is different for Star Wars. And the two of the bad guys, how they came at each other, it was phenomenal. It was funny. You could have had them do that on their own. It was like they had like this love-hate relationship. R2 and the boy, like, what was funny is that with the group, they kind of like left on an escape pod to leave them there. That was just weird. Okay, whatever. The first episode arc was is multiple arcs too, which I thought was cool, or multiple episodes per arc. But they like left them after they wanted to help them and stuff. They like, nope, we're out. So crazy. Now, R2, you found 3PO and R2. They got bought in an auction because I think they crash landed from when they escaped. When they did the escape pod, didn't tell the friends. They just left. So you never know if they're looking for them or if they're like whatever happened to them. You know, but kids show. I guess they're like, who cares? Consequences don't matter, especially in the '80s. But they were bought at an auction by Jan the Miner. Then you see the droids had another droid there, which you find out is an amnesiac prince, and bounty hunters are looking for him. And then there's the pilot that names Jessica Helps. They all work to overthrow the pirate that hurt him, and they work on a peace treaty with another planet. The prince is blue; those people are purple, and I say, look, if they can do it, we can do it. Let's all get along. That episode with a kid on a train, but like nothing really happened. It was kind of weird. It was like they just did stuff and they were like, oh, R2D2 or your robots, whatever. Moving on. It really, this episode was really a throwaway episode. They just kind of leave for the most part. So whatever. Droids say bye, pretty much. Yeah. So at the end of the thing, what I mean by they kind of leave, they go on a train or whatever, and the droids are like bye, and they just leave. No consequences. Arc 3, they meet Mongo Bayoba, looking for rune stones. The treasure is like a treasure hunter. Mongo, also too, Bagoba is a very three-dimensional character. He had some character really with him. His quest may cost him everything when he was doing the treasure chest. And I thought this was a really actually cool little arc here. It may cost him his friends. It was a nice lesson. They run into his old uncle, and I think it was his uncle, who's also a treasure hunter. He starts to kind of see here, break down like what's going on and how this life could lead to bad things, and he warns him about it, that these materials aren't worth it in the end. No treasure is worth being lonely and having loneliness. You can get all the money in the world, but basically you can be alone. And I thought that was a really deep message for a kid, especially for a kid's show. He was like, family must come first. And he dies. It was actually a really deep episode, or like an arc. And it's implied that they stay with Mongo for a while. A ration, it was for at least maybe a month or two before they actually move on. Also, this stood out because of they had Coon. Oh, by the way, that Mongol guy actually was referenced later in one of the movies, at least with the name, with the family line. I think it was the prequel. It actually had a lot of fans of droids. J.J. Abrams seemed to be a fan. There's a lot of fans of this show, actually. That I noticed that now work in Star Wars that hinted from even the prequel thing. And I think in the sequel, one of the Imperial guys is like a descendant, and they said he is. Also, what stood out came with the Empire guy who sprays this green germ over the farm community. It was kind of raw. And the farmers, they take them out because they want this area. So this thing was made to take out the vegetation growing back in about a year. And I like that the other guy was like, dude, that's crude. Like, we do a lot, but we can't just do whatever. And the thing is, a lot of people don't realize that with the Empire, yeah, they did vicious things, but a lot of times they weren't. They used their influence to kind of try to keep everyone under thumb, but they didn't always just destroy everything. And it wasn't just like, we're just going to kill everyone that opposes. It was a way they handled it. But the guy was like, this is like really crude and kind of just rough, what you did. And it's also interesting because just like what they're based off of, which is World War II Germany, Yazis, it shows that not everyone had the Empire under blind faith, and I thought that was cool. And there are standards there depending on who you dealt with. And then Coon gets infected, and Mongo actually gives him the cure. They had like a lot of exchange because people were getting sick, and what ended up happening, because of his own hubris, and because he was petty and he was mad, and he had the monologue about, I'm gonna get you, and I don't care, because he was so angry that this dude had to save him. he doesn't actually use it in time. After he says all this stuff about I'm gonna hunt you down and I'm gonna tear you up, the enzyme actually makes you start to disappear, and it was too late. He lost his hands and everything, and it was really kind of intense. And I read about, oh, and then come to find out that the other dude, the one-eyed guy, actually had his own book series. Um, Admiral Scree. He actually was in the extended universe, and they actually go into him a bit and how he got his eye and stuff. And I thought that was great. And the '80s, you can't have the '80s or the '90s cartoons without Cree Summer. Love her. Um, but in the main, like I said, she's anything from Rugrats on down. She's in there. She's even in Kids Next Door. She has that voice. But it works. There was an uncle that was also Mongo. I think it was Mongo's uncle. Or when they did the slave thing, he was so Texas and cowboy. It like hurt. It was great because he's in tarnations, and I'm like, why is he using all the Texas? But he like made like space reference, and he kicks the robot, hurts his foot, and bounces around the droid just like they do when they get mad. They kick something and hurt themselves. It was great. Randomly, they would have 4 fingers. These humans just random. They could be here 5, and then all of a sudden it's like this. That was funny. C3po blinks, and for some reason, every time he's in animation, at least the hand-drawn cartoons, he's always blinking. I don't remember if he does it in the other cartoons, Rebels. I bet you he does. And R2d2 always moves like he's a bag of wet cereal. Like he's bloop, 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 and he's always like rubbery. Like even when he's like moving and stuff, it's like he's just very rubbery and loose. It's weird. And they do it in every cartoon I've seen of him until they get to the CG stuff. They had the whole classic shenanigans, cartoon, slapstick, bubbles, you know. And Jan at random would get Derp Face. It was odd how it was like the artist just said screw it and just did it. As usual, Star Wars is very circular, and you can kind of see the whole desert, the hero thing. I like Mongo, but he did feel a little bit like Han. I also thought it was very interesting. I did like the ships; they were very Star Wars-esque. They actually had a bounty hunter droid, the IG-88, which you see later in Mandalorian, and it kind of does show how dangerous the bounty hunter droids is. I thought the Boba Fett popped in. That was a nice touch. And Mongo Bagoon, he is in the prequels. I got it. Oh, I did have it here. Pod racing. There's a lot about racing. Milestar, but I'll get to that in a minute. That's a whole nother little thing. There's funny nods to randoms, like they found a random lightsaber and used it for a thing, but they kind of didn't know what it was fully. Guy never picked up his stuff that like when he got it, so he was just like, oh, that's how he referenced. He's like, this guy never picked up his stuff. I was working on it. It showed that someone survived Order 66. Odd that they cut this, but there's a lot of female representation in this show. There's Kia of Rebels, Jessica, a very skilled pilot, Arwen, Mongo's buddy, a racing champ, Princess Gurin, who stopped being a damsel in distress and ended up saving herself. I thought that was actually very interesting. A lot about racing, and as time passes, very common. All felt bland at times, and it did have very slow moments, don't get me wrong. However, the representation was there, and the females, they were kind of one-dimensional, but it still worked because almost everyone in the show was one-dimensional. There was R2D2 dancing, and he did like a moonwalk, and he was breakdancing, and his head was coming off, so it was like his head was like with a jukebox in the 50s. That was just nuts. I was like, wait, why is he dancing like that? And I was like, he's moving more than you ever seen him. It was interesting. You saw extras. Besides the character, is their own show, but they felt all right because they were side characters. They were side characters in the series. You went with them, but you saw how they did an adventure. You just happened to stay with those two. It was just like the movies. They helped out. They were the comic relief. They had the action. It felt like Star Wars. A lot of issues, and it was a bit clunky, but ignoring the breaks, it's worth a watch, I would say at least. They had the TV special that was interesting. They kind of went along with this. All the episodes I think I saw. You might be able to find them all on YouTube. Now for references, Mungo Bagoon. He was referencing the prequels. Pod racing, droids. The pod racing. Just talked a lot about racing. Um, Oh, the 50s diner feel with the forearm owner that had a thing. Notice the planet had holes. You saw that in the prequels with the planet of the many holes. The wheel bike, C3po was on the wheel bike. You see Grievous with it later. That could have been the same wheel bike. I thought that was cool. Some guy who had the voice of Bebop played in episode 1. Series just fits. I saw a lot of other little connections, but those were some that stood out. One of the funny things is that Lucas heavily worked on this thing. That's why I laugh when they say Clone Wars is very canon, because Lucas was a part of it. Lucas actually had way more hands-on in this than he did Clone Wars. So just say you didn't want it to be canon, because in all honesty, this really did actually feel a lot of things you see in the prequels come straight from the show. The pod racing, the bikes, everything. Yeah. So that's pretty much my take on it. I definitely say this could be, I had a good time with the show overall. I'll give it a good time. Um, this paper was actually to something else. So if you're wondering why, I accidentally put a page of that on top. But the droids, they were pretty good. You got to see a lot of Star Wars references. Like, I really like the fact you saw IG-88. You saw a situation as it was. And it was a good series for that one watch. It's rough. It's a little dated. But if you're a Star Wars fan, I would say to watch it to see all of the things they took and put it into the next stuff. So that's droids. That's it. I'm the Geek Protagonist. I want you to stay safe, stay healthy, stay real. And I'll see you in the next one. Star Wars. Hey, thank you for visiting my channel. This is the Geek Protagonist. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Please, it'll really help me out in the channel if you actually share these videos, if you like what I'm doing. Please hit that bell notification. Hit it, click. This way you won't miss any of my videos. Also, there's a thing on there that says personal and all. Hit the all. This way you'll get them every time for the notifications. I'm trying to, grow, trying to do commentary about what's going on. And I want to thank you again. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay real. This is the Geek Protagonist. I'm out, and I'll see you.